There is one big problem though. You don't heat all year long. You have some mild months. So during these months, what do? You turn off your heater, so you're not mining anymore and you're not heating, right?
Once again, depends on your circumstances. If I'm in Austria and I get exactly the same amount back, I pay for the electricity, I don't make any revenue stream, okay, it doesn't make sense to let it run in the summer as well. If you are in Norway and you pay 8 cents and you get more than 8 cents back per kilowatt hour, it does make sense to also run it in the summer, but
Yeah, but
maybe move
then
it.
you're gonna get too much heat in your
Yes,
apartment.
exactly. But it's a plug and play product, so maybe you can move it into your garage or in your cellar where the waste heat
Okay.
is
So you
not.
have the flexibility basically to move
Yes,
it around.
exactly.
Hi, Max. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Chad. Love to be here. Thank you.
Can you please present yourself quickly for our audience?
Sure. I'm Maximilian Obwexer from 21 Energy. I'm the co-founder and CEO, and we make heating cheaper, more sustainable, and push forward the energy transition with our innovative Bitcoin heaters.
Okay, interesting. We'll dig in a little bit later into your model, but let's first start with your Bitcoin journey. How did you discover Bitcoin? What's your Bitcoin story?
Oh, my Bitcoin story starts in 2015. I was hearing about Bitcoin while playing online poker back then, and I bought a little bit of Bitcoin in 2015, but sold it again. I think I bought 5 Bitcoin for 260 euros a piece and sold it 2016 for 320 euros a piece. So that was a nice investment. And yeah, then with the hype cycle in 2017, I heard back once again from it, and I joined back in, and I digged a little bit deeper and started to understand it. And this is how my Bitcoin journey, like, it really started in 2017, and since then I'm in Bitcoin. Yes.
And you started straight away with 21 Energy, or did you do something before that? What were the different endeavors basically that led you to where you are now?
2017, no, I was self-employed. I was running a marketing agency, and I was living in a single family home, and I was heating that single family home with heating oil. And then my Bitcoin journey started, and in 2020 I started Bitcoin mining on high performance computers, and they got really, really hot. And then I figured maybe you could heat your complete house with Bitcoin mining. So I built a prototype to try that out, if that makes sense and does it work. And after the first successful heating period, I was pretty surprised that I did not only save approximately 3,000 euros in heating oil costs per year, but additionally, I had a surplus on the higher electricity bill of 1,000 euros with the Bitcoin mining. So in total, I had a success of 4,000 euros compared to the heating oil. And a very good side effect was I was using 100% hydropower. So I was also eliminating 100% of the CO2 emissions, which I had previously through heating with oil. So it was for me an absolute no-brainer. It was cheaper, it was more sustainable, and I was also pushing a little bit forward the energy transition. And after 2 very successful heating seasons with my prototype, I thought it's a no-brainer. Let's build a company around that and make it into a plug-and-play product so everybody can heat like that. And we founded 21 Energy in the year 2022 in the October. So we are exactly 2 years old. And since then, it was a pretty wild ride. Until now, we have over 2,500 orders shipped. And at the moment, we are on a really good trajectory to reach 4 million in sales in our second year now. So everything is quite exploding. And we are based in Austria. We are producing everything in Austria. Of course, we buy the hash boards, the Bitcoin miners from all over the world, but everything else gets manufactured here in Austria. And we have pretty high manufacturing capacities and can produce at the moment up to 4,000 Bitcoin heaters a month, industrial Bitcoin heaters as well as Bitcoin space heaters for your private living room.
Okay, so just for me to wrap my head around it. So basically, what
Yes.
you did is you have developed a heater that
Yes.
mines Bitcoin. So basically, the energy that is released by the Bitcoin mining machine, instead of going wasted, this heat, you are using it to heat, so people can buy them as a heater and put them in their apartment and heat their place. This is like for private use, or you have also industrial modules to heat like bigger surfaces, or just apartments for retail people.
Yes, we have up from apartments up to large warehouses. We have also very large industrial heaters. Like an electric space heater converts 100% of the electricity into heat, and a Bitcoin miner does the same thing. It converts 100% of the electricity into heat, but at the same time, you have billions of calculations per second. For example, if you put 1 kilowatt hour of electricity into a Bitcoin miner, you have 1 kilowatt hour of heat. Exactly the same thing with the electric space heater, but you have at the same time 40 billion calculations a second, for example, with our Bitcoin space heater. And so you have an additional created value and you get paid for that. And that's a unique proposition compared to traditional heating methods, because traditional heating methods like oil or gas, you are just burning fossil fuels or energy and don't create any value besides the heat. And with Bitcoin mining, you have like a multi-dimensional energy use. You are using basically the waste heat to heat your home or your warehouse, and that's how you get an efficiency increase in the system. For example, if a lot of people would heat like that, you would also push out a lot of the mining farms, because of it would be less profitable if more people would heat their home with Bitcoin mining. It gets less and less profitable for the Bitcoin mining farms, and they would have to stop Bitcoin mining. So I think also in the long run there are a lot of good incentives. So we push the Bitcoin mining more and more to the places where you have an efficiency increase through using the waste heat, or it gets with Bitcoin heater. The heat is also a main product, and
Okay, that's very interesting because I have always heard and followed the Bitcoin miners, the listed Bitcoin miners at least,
yes,
a business model which is a load balancing of the
yes,
electricity grid business model. So that's how they see it, sustainable on the long term. And what you're
yes.
saying is that you also have an additional layer of usage of Bitcoin miners, which is the all the heating economics and the heating needs in this space. And the fact that you are producing the same heat as a heater, it means that technically you are using the same electricity as if you were heating your house. So it's like you're having the electricity for free, like because you are anyway paying, so at least at no additional costs, because all Bitcoin miners trying to fight for electricity prices and try to lower
Yes.
it as much as possible. Your electricity price is zero because people are already paying it and they don't have like an additional marginal heating expenses to put. So that's how you see it. Can you help me
N- n-
around that?
yes, not 100% like that, because for example at the moment like at least in Europe, not a lot of people are heating with electricity, because normally it's cheaper to heat with oil or gas. But they would have to pay, for example, 10 cents or 15 cents for a kilowatt hour of heat by heating with oil or gas. And if you now, for example, here we in Austria, we would pay, for example, approximately 20 cents per kilowatt hour of for the kilowatt hour of electricity. But for example, over the last 12 months, the average was cashback was, for example, with a Bitcoin heater, 14 cents you get back for Bitcoin mining per kilowatt hour. So if you pay 20 cents, get back 14 cents, you still have a loss of 6 cents, for example, in that example, but you have already heated. And otherwise, you would have to pay 10 cents or 12 cents for oil or gas. And that was the average over the last year. But we have
Okay, so what you're saying is that the combination of
exactly.
heating
Yeah.
plus Bitcoins you're generating is
Yes.
gonna beat your cost of just heating through petrol, basically.
Exactly.
And that's
And
what you did, basically, technically, initially PA
yes.
before creating your company. Okay, just for me to understand the heating space, because this is like a new field for me,
Yes.
the heating. So what you're saying is that nobody's using electricity for heating, but I know like for water heating, like for showers and stuff, they use sometimes electric boilers, you know?
Yes.
Is it profitable to boil water with electricity more than to heat apartments?
It really depends on the country you are in. For example, here in Austria and Germany, nearly nobody is heating with electricity. But if you go to Italy, for example, where they have much shorter heating periods, they have often no central heating system and they heat with electricity space heaters. So it really depends where you are located in, or also in the Nordics, like Sweden or Norway. More people are heating with electricity because the electricity prices are much cheaper than here in Central Europe. It really depends where are you located in. It's different in every single
Also, it's a
country.
case by case basis
Yes,
where, depending on electricity price and how it's produced and
exactly.
the cost of it, so it's
Yes,
so what you the example you gave earlier with numbers was more like an Austrian example.
it
It would
was
be
more
completely
like
different for Norway or Sweden or
exactly. Like it
okay.
was an example over the last year, like a Bitcoin heater. We sell, for example, at over the last 4 years, average, for example, made 28 cents per kilowatt hour. And then it's for a lot of people really a no brainer because a lot of people get the electricity for way under 28 cents. And then you are really making not only eliminating your complete oil and gas costs, but also making a small surplus with Bitcoin mining itself and have heated already. And if you are in Norway or Sweden and you only pay, for example, 8 cents per kilowatt hour, it's really a no-brainer because if you have no more than 100% cashback on your electricity bill and
Hmm.
have heated, you cannot beat it. You can also not beat it with like here in Euro at the moment, the heat pump is a large hype because you can make out of 1 kilowatt hour through getting heat out of the surroundings, you get an efficiency increase and have, for example, 4 kilowatt hours of heating power with one electricity kilowatt hour. And still, then, if you get more than 100% cashback, the Bitcoin heater is still cheaper than the heat pump. And then we often get the argument, yeah, okay, but the heat pump is much more grid friendly because you don't need that much electricity. Yes, but not really, because you need the electricity for Bitcoin mining anyway. So it's also much more grid friendly if you heat your home with electricity, which is used in any way, in any
Anyway,
case.
yeah.
But
Anyway, electrification is the new trend, basically,
yeah,
to
energy
get out of
transition.
fossil fuels. But you're going a bit too fast for me. So just
Okay,
for
yeah.
me to understand, there is one big problem though that you don't heat all year long. You have some mild months. So during these months, what do? You turn off your heater, so you're not mining anymore and you're not heating, right?
Also, once again, depends on your circumstances. If I'm in Austria and I get exactly the same amount back I pay for the electricity, I don't make any revenue stream, okay, it doesn't make sense to let it run in the summer as well. If you are in Norway and you pay 8 cents and you get more than 8 cents back per kilowatt hour, it does make sense to also run it in the summer, but
Yeah, but
maybe move
then you're
it.
gonna get too much heat in your
Yes,
apartment.
exactly. But it's a plug and play product. So maybe you can move it into your garage or in your cellar where the waste
Ah,
heat
okay.
is
So you have
not.
the flexibility basically to move
Yes,
it around.
exactly. It
Maybe
weighs only
travel with it.
like our
Okay, interesting.
devices. weigh
So
between 20 to 30 kilos, and you can move it within 1 minute to any other
yeah,
place.
and
And
what, like, because I had heard about like a French company
yes,
doing the same but for boilers,
yes,
and their argument is that hot water you need it all year long. Even in summer you still want
yes,
hot water, so you will use this electricity. You will have this need for heat in your boiler all year long.
yes.
But I think it was difficult from a technical perspective to have a Bitcoin miner inside a boiler and submerged by water. Have you thought about this option?
Yes, there are some startups building Bitcoin central heating systems, which is exactly that, saving the heat in water and then push it through the central heating system, for example. It has a lot of advantages, definitely, because for example, you can also connect your Bitcoin heaters, doesn't matter if it's a Bitcoin space heater or it's a Bitcoin central heating system, to a variable electric tariff where you have different electricity prices every hour, and then you often get down more than 50% of your electricity bill because you are only heating up in the very cheap hours, for example. And then you can save a
Mm.
lot of heat over the night, for example, or can heat up the water in the night when the electricity is cheap. But there are also some disadvantages, like it's much higher initial costs, and there are at the moment not many devices which are good and fitting for the European market. There are
So
like
your product is more like plug and play, whereas the other one is
yes,
much heavier duty type of installation. You're just buy the
exactly.
heater, put it next to your room. That being said, now I'm like thinking while I'm interviewing
Yeah,
the heater business model, I would say,
yes.
in the heating space is almost dead. You have like all these thermostats and this like automatic controls where you can have the temperature. So nobody's like maybe in some mountains
Hmm.
uh, that have some ice too cold temperature. You need sometimes some heater because the central heater is not enough. But we dropped in the heating space the heater basically business model. So how do you combine your heater with someone's existing heating infrastructure, because most apartments have already heating in place. So you turn it off, but then the heater might heat too much or too little, and sometimes you need more heat. Sometimes so how do you balance the temperature
Yes.
while at the same time you have a already in place a central heating system?
Like our Bitcoin heater also has a thermostat. So you can say it's plug and play, you get it shipped home, you plug it in, you set it up with our smartphone app within 2 minutes, even though you have never mined Bitcoin before. It's super simple and can be done by anybody. You don't need high speed internet or anything like that. A Bitcoin space heater needs approximately 300 megabytes of data a month. That's one YouTube video. So that's nothing for today's standards, and you can just say, okay, I want 21 degrees in my room, and we can scale up the calculations, the hash rate, and exactly to
Ah,
that
so you
amount.
control the temperature with the hash rate. Wow, that's
Exactly. We can overclock or downclock the hash rate, and it's a linear function. More watts
okay.
mean more calculations needs more heat, and in the other way exactly the same. And I was heating my single family home exactly like that. I had a central heating system. I had an existing heating system, the oil heating system, but it was much more expensive to run than the Bitcoin space heater. So I installed
Mm.
the Bitcoin space heater, and because it was already warm, the central heating system was not running as hard, for example. You can turn it off completely if you want, or you can say, okay, if, for example, if you would need two devices to heat your complete home, you can say, okay, I buy one, I try it out, and I take 60% of the base load,
Of the base
and
load, yeah. So it's
and
like it's reducing your central housing heating needs,
exactly.
and But maybe down the line you'll have like central housing, heating, done all of it by with Bitcoin miners, but not through a separate module, but more like when you're building the apartments and you're thinking
Yeah,
about how to plug them and do them. Okay, I
yeah,
got it. Actually, I had already thought about this idea in the past when I encountered the French company, and have you run the numbers because Bitcoin price spiked so much
yes,
since its creation until now? Have you done any simulation? I believe that there is a scenario where because Bitcoin price rallied so much, and I believe it's going to continue rallying, that
yes,
by buying one of your heaters, you
yes,
can initially save money and all the economics you're taking. But because if you keep on holding the asset that you didn't
yes,
use to pay your electricity bill or whatever, then the asset can pay for your mortgage, your house, your car
yes.
loan, etc. Have you done any like simulation in the past? Like if you had bought our heater 10 years ago, now you would have owned your house basically. Not only
I see.
because people focus on
Yes,
the electricity bill, but since there's this price appreciation that comes with the asset, and
yes,
this call option, like it's not certain. It's certain
yes,
that you're gonna save money on your electricity and you're gonna produce Bitcoin and it's gonna be profitable.
yes,
But there's an additional call option where it pays your mortgage.
yes. I have not run the numbers backwards, but for example, in my example, it was like a return on investment lower than 2 years. For example, it was highly profitable mining Bitcoin and heating my home. So if you have a return on investment in less than 2 years, you can calculate, okay, does it make sense? Do I think Bitcoin will outperform uh, that calculation? And what you also have to think about, if Bitcoin prices increase drastically, especially in the bull markets, Bitcoin mining hardware also increases in price. So you could make the argument, if you buy Bitcoin mining hardware and there is an extreme bull market, also the value of your Bitcoin heater could increase, or maybe not increase as fast as the Bitcoin price, because there is maybe newer hardware or something like that. But I'm not worried about that. It doesn't make sense otherwise, because Bitcoin heaters are, in my opinion, the way more efficient method to mine Bitcoin. And there always must be Bitcoin mining, because without Bitcoin mining, there is no Bitcoin. So the calculations will make sense for a lot of people, maybe not in Germany or in countries where the electricity prices are insanely high, but it depending always on your circumstances and how fast the return on the investment in at your locations would be. For example, in Norway, if you have a maybe the machine paid it off completely in one heating season, then you can
Hmm.
say, okay,
I find it
and
also a very interesting way for people to step into Bitcoin, because if you learn about Bitcoin, and what can you do? You can go and buy Bitcoin, but there's a lot of people who are like scared about like uh, when is it the right time to buy it? It's too volatile. How much money should I put? And go all the technicalities about it, opening an account, KYC, sending all like it is a like your first bitcoins. The acquisition of your first Bitcoin as a private is a complicated process. But here
yes,
it's just like you're ordering a heater. So it is. I find it like as a converting mechanism much quicker and easier and effortless. So not only you're gonna buy it in a much like you buy it like you're buying shoes or whatever online, but at the same time you're acquiring your first bitcoins and managing them and getting your first exposure basically to Bitcoin. Is
exactly.
there, is there another aspect about status, because because I saw a lot of people who mine Bitcoin on their own just to show their friends that I'm mining Bitcoin. They have these machines in their living room,
Yes.
showing that. So there is a kind of also status symbol that comes that I am part of this new revolution, and here's the proof. Basically, it's not just on paper.
Yes. Like we have two very large customer segments. One is Bitcoiners, which know, okay, Bitcoin heaters, they create additional value and stuff like that. And often there we have people, they say it's the, if they have friends at their home, they are talking all evening about it because it's the cool thing. And then we have another customer segment, which is really large, that is people with solar on the roof, and they can monetize their own surplus electricity in the summer, for example, themselves with the Bitcoin heaters, and they don't have to put it into the grid for very low compensation, for example. And
Okay.
there we have some really cool stories about people. They had nothing to do with Bitcoin, but came through the energy perspective, through the energy solution,
Because
which
they had an
Bitcoin
excess energy available. Okay.
exactly. They
I
monetized
find it
the
from
X.
a social perspective, when you put
Yes,
it in your living room, your heater,
yes,
it's it's a great way to start the discussion, and
yes,
then and then if you're a Bitcoiner, like that's your favorite topic, and you can
yes.
speak all night long about it and go through the whole revolution. What about the ESG perspective? Like what you're doing, I mean, everybody's in Europe at least is fighting Bitcoin, but
Yes.
here we are using Bitcoin to heat houses. So is there like a counter narrative to the ESG narrative, basically, from your business model?
Yes, it's really hard to argue against Bitcoin mining if you can feel it through a Bitcoin heater yourself. Like if you save thousands of liters of oil every year, petrol every year, and you do it with electricity, because energy transition means we have to the electrification of everything. So if the energy transition is done in, I don't know, 20, 50, 100 years, every energy use should run with renewable energies. That's at least what their goal is. So also from that perspective, it's a push into the right direction, because how can you heat else with electricity? There is only the heat pump and infrared, but they are all completely new energy
Mm.
users. And Bitcoin mining, it's not completely new energy users. We have them already, and as long as Bitcoin has value, we need Bitcoin mining. And as long there is Bitcoin mining, it's the most reasonable thing to use the waste heat to heat with that. And so you are heating your home with a waste product, and don't use a new user, like you don't need additional
You don't
energy.
create additional electricity or additional power
Yes.
usage because this is like existing one. That's a very interesting point. So what's your view, like 10 years from now, of the whole Bitcoin mining space? Like,
Yes.
where is it? Where will Bitcoin mining will be in 10 years?
In like 99% of the hash rate probably is at the moment in mining farms, and I think that will change drastically. I think that a lot of the hash rate will move into homes where people mine Bitcoin with Bitcoin heaters. Is it central heating systems or space heaters? Because the incentive model is much better. I think mining farms with no additional revenue stream will have it really, really hard to be profitable the next 10 years. If you have additional revenue streams from heat, reuse, or grid balancing, I
Mm.
think there will be still a lot of mining farms, because there is stranded energy, there is grid balancing. But data centers, Bitcoin mining farms without any additional revenue stream except Bitcoin mining will have it really, really hard, because a private household, imagine you build a new home, and you have to buy a heating method anyway. So you don't have to write off that Bitcoin miner, for example, like a mining farm, because you have to pay for a gas heating system or oil heating system or a heat pump anyway. And same is it with the Bitcoin heater. So if you don't have to write it off because you need to buy one anyway, and you need to buy energy to heat your home anyway, and you don't have to have a technician on hand 24/7 to run your mining operations, you don't have to pay rent. There are a lot of really good incentives which will push more and more of the hash rate into homes. So also Bitcoin mining will be more decentralized, but of course that's a completely new beginning, and it will take 10, 20 years until a major percentage of hash rate will also decentralize away from mining farms without any additional revenue stream to homes. And yeah, but I
Okay,
think
and yeah, actually, it's interesting what you're saying because I always thought that the real competition for mining farms were people who are stealing the electricity. So you have a lot of scandals going on every year of like a university professor who was like had a mining space and using the electricity of the university. And like in China there's a Bitcoin ban, but you have a lot of people mining Bitcoin in China, so nobody understands how it's possible and so on.
yes,
But what you're saying is that your electricity price is almost zero because they are already paying the electricity for their heating, so you are just mining Bitcoin at no additional electricity cost or consumption. Even better, actually, because you are saving and you're gonna make money on it. So and actually, if like your business model succeeds, you will have a true decentralization like the
yes,
Bitcoin network, because you have like
yes,
people around the world. Maybe there will be a small advantage for the colder countries because they need
yes,
more heating than the Caribbeans or like
yes,
people
definitely.
living in hot areas. But even in the desert at night, it is cold. So yeah, I like the idea. It's very interesting. Okay, well done. We're gonna wrap it up here. It was a very nice discussion. Thanks for coming to the show, and
Thank you very much.
good luck on your endeavor.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Thank you.